And I mean, I personally would hate that. I think I would be the worst type of player because I would just like, just let me be me. Just let me be me, a very mediocre footballer.
What do you mean I can't have 2 cheeseburgers in the locker room? What are you, a cop?
I know what I look like. Come on now. I'll take bacon off one. That's my compromise.
We have to start with what's in the title. With what is in, you see the thumbnail, but Gareth Bale. The rumor is that he wants to take his golf talents to DC and play in Major League Soccer. But we have to discuss this. I don't really know. It's definitely a rumor, but Wayne Rooney coming to MLS was a rumor at one point. How likely does this feel? And you are obviously in the. You're closer to DC than I am. Now you're more familiar with DC than I am. But but what
DC?
What how from 1 to 10, how likely does this feel like it's actually going to happen?
I think you're correct with the rumors can always be rumors, but sometimes they can be real. So I'm not going to say 0, but I'm going to put it on the lower side. I definitely agree with and enjoyed the tweet from Kim McCauley about this one. I think it got her blocked by Stephen Goff. This feels like it might just be a little bit of a screen because it also coincides with DC firing Hernan Losada. Yeah. And I did kind of feel like that maybe was a linked thing of we fired a manager that was going to be the future of the team, but we might get Gareth Bale. Focus on that, please. And just jiggling keys. Hey, you don't need to worry about the man. Look at the shiny thing. He's got a man bun. Please don't focus on everything else we're doing.
Don't look under the man bun. You don't want to see what's under there.
You really don't. You really don't. But I am a DC United fan. I'm a Manchester United fan. They've got United in the title. They've got same color schemes. It feels like they're both stealing from the same playbook of things are going drastically wrong. Let's just link ourselves with some player that we're definitely not going to sign or won't be able to pull off in the end. But everybody will get excited and forget about all the other things we're doing that maybe are less exciting. And so I think Gareth Bale would be awesome in MLS. I think it would be really fun to see him enjoying playing soccer and not getting booed all the time, and I do think he still has the profile that
he doesn't get booed, okay? He gets whistled at by a very high-pitched whistle that it might be a positive thing. I don't know the culture out in Madrid. I don't know what they mean by it, but I'm sure there's no way it can be distracting.
Yeah, no, they wanted to make sure he could see really well, so they set his car on fire. That's the best way to see it at night. We know these things.
I think is that the Real Madrid fans are catcalling Gareth Bale because he got that dump truck. That's all they're doing. They're whistling at him because they like what he looks like. That's all.
I mean, I think there's worse reasons to whistle. Why not? Let's make that happen. But I think it's time for him to move on, and I think MLS makes a lot of sense. I don't know if DC is the most logical place to land, and I think especially for a British person, we saw this when Wayne Rooney stepped off the plane and immediately turned bright red. DC humidity in the summer, I'm not sure that's what he's looking for.
Is he British or Welsh? Right? Technically, what is British is Welsh or?
I think British is the catch-all, as I understand it, and you should definitely call people from the Republic of Ireland British. They love it, and don't get it all angry about it. I don't know. I'm coming from, on our show, we've got Ryan, who's an Englishman, and Graham, who's a Scot, and I think both of them are okay with being called British, but maybe Graham is more okay with it through gritted teeth than anything else.
Okay.
That's my understanding, at least.
This comment here from Hercules Gomez, we're seeing it on the screen, he says, saying that Gareth Bale would be the best player in Major League Soccer by far. And I don't know how much to debate this because ESPN FC is very good at they just putting it out there, and they love the engagement of disingenuous questions. But it's difficult to say that given that he is he's not really, obviously he doesn't play much at Real Madrid. It is what it is with the situation that he's in, but it doesn't feel that way, that he would be the best player by far, because I don't know where his heart is and how much, he seems like he loves playing for Wales and turns it on But DC United is not Wales, and I don't know what the motivation is for him to play and to play well. Like, how excited would he be? And I feel this way about any club that he would go to. I just don't know what the I don't know if it's the trauma of what his career at Real Madrid has been like. Does he have any left to like give? Does he really want to be a superstar in any league in the world?
I think what I'm hearing you say is lie to him and just tell him that Wales plays in Major League Soccer.
Right.
Like maybe RSL has kind of similar colors. Like I feel like they both wear the kind of like reddish jersey.
Sure.
So just maybe tell him that. I like Colorado, Wales. I don't know. Maybe there's some similar, or not Colorado, Utah.
Do we have any Welsh players in MLS? Is there any other Welshmen?
That's a great question.
I'm
for
just
your
wondering
many
if
Welsh listeners.
I don't think so.
I see where Herc is coming from, though, I think, because on the physical side, like, I'm assuming he still has a decent amount of pace, Gareth Bale, and he is so big and does have that dump truck, as you correctly pointed out, that he has the ability to beat people on his own. And he has the ability to run at defenders and make them uncomfortable and play on the break and get a ball in behind and run onto it and score. And I can see an argument for him being like an individual threat and then technically good enough to be a team threat. And so maybe he does give you that sort of dual, I don't want to say threat again, but I'm going to, like that dual approach. And so I could see an argument for him being one of the best players. I just think anytime you're appointing somebody that before they've played a game, MLS has many intricacies that we all know about that make it slightly more challenging.
And we saw like the comments from Gonzalo Higuain about, thinking he was just going to come here and play with a cigar in his mouth.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like, I thought I could eat ham while playing. Who knew that wasn't allowed?
And look at, as soon as he, he has a bit of an injury and misses, he hasn't, I think he hasn't started in 4 games for Inter Miami, and they win 4 in a row. Wow. Interesting how that works out.
Yeah.
So that's why like the comments from Fabian Herbers, when he said like F that guy about Gonzalo Higuain. It feels like, not only do you have to be a decent player, but you have to like come in with a little bit of like humility when you play in MLS. So you have to accept that maybe the guys that are passing you the ball are not gonna ping 80-yard diagonals at you, and that'll land right at your feet. So if a player doesn't come in with that mentality, which I think Wayne Rooney did, I think he truly came in with like, I understand what I'm getting myself into. I understand the talent of some of the other players. You heard all the stories about him paying for like every meal for a lot of the players, the kindness he showed to all his teammates. That's the kind of guys that we need if they're going to succeed in MLS.
Yeah, I agree. And I've always wondered if maybe Wayne Rooney got a little bit of guidance from David Beckham, because that was a thing that like Beckham, when he first came in, I think was kind of throwing that money around a little bit to try to make people feel like he wasn't such a prima donna, but at the same time, he got such special treatment. I do wonder if there was a little bit of insight provided by Beckham as to how to conduct yourself. That said, Rooney, I think, still got drunk at Dulles, so that felt appropriately American too.
There's a balance.
You got to find it, right? Exactly. The other thing I do wonder, though, to your point is, like, we know, I think South American clubs, and especially young South American players and agents, are starting to see MLS or already see MLS as a very good launching pad or potential launch pad for another move. You kind of get established and then you can move on. And obviously academies, FC Dallas, chief amongst them, have shown that young talent is coming through. But I wonder if on the opposite side, there is still an idea in most European media that MLS is just backwards. And I think it's harder to watch just from a time constraint standpoint. If you're going to stay up till 2 a.m. to watch, you can. But I think there's so many other things going on when you've got soccer going that I don't think you get as much coverage or as much interest. And so I think some of those perceptions of it being, if not wholly a retirement league at this point, but as you go in, you're an international player, you're going to be fine, you don't have to work that hard, the level's not there. Maybe some of that is still true, but as you said with Higuain, I think he had this idea of he's going to go to Miami, which again, heat, humidity. Right. Think about these things, people. But like, it's not where it used to be. And I think players that come in expecting it to be this sort of cake league that you can just have your say and play whenever you want to, it doesn't really work that way anymore. Right. And I think people kind of get hit with that pretty quickly. Steven Gerrard would be one of those players in my mind.
Right. There's a bunch of people in the chat saying about Welsh players. So there's no current Welsh players in the MLS. Colo Blanco mentioned that. That's right. Chris Matassa said one Welsh player in USL Championship side Atlanta United 2 and one USL League 2 side North Carolina Fusion. Okay, so the Welsh, at least, Gareth will have a couple people, countrymen to connect with. So Dennis Higgins said, I was so wrong about Rooney. You and Sebastian Salazar, remember the rant he went on about how this is a waste of money. He's old, retiring this, retiring that. And then, boom. I mean, Wayne Rooney has some of the greatest moments in DC United history. Look, we can't deny that. That long ball to Lucho Acosta. Bro, that will live in not infamy, in just for me. It would just live in.
Lives in funny. Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. I think I coined that.
I guess that's just fame. That's just fame. It's no. Infamy is fame. There we go.
Okay, so since we're talking about DC United, we do have to talk about head coach Hernan Losada, who got removed from his post for, I don't know, body shaming and bullying. Right. I don't know what happened.
Mean girl? Yeah.
Because
Regina George loved the coach.
Because when he first got there, a lot of people were excited. The end of Ben Olsen, not his life, but the end of his tenure at DC United. He'd been there for a long time. There seemed to be a lot of mediocrity when it came to DC United after, a club that was pretty much used to winning in early days of MLS. But Hernan Losada, so this is a lot of fans were upset, and I think there's a couple DC United fans in the chat right now. A lot of fans were upset because I think they liked the way he played, and even though DC United weren't winning that much, they had just missed a playoff spot last season. I think pretty much it seemed like fans liked him. They liked the guy. But I don't know if you heard Julian Gressel's podcast, the ZZ Soccer Pod, him and Fabian Herbers. And I've never heard a player be so open and honest about, a coach getting fired, because he was being really straightforward about how basically Hernan Losada did, I guess, is it similar to like Bielsa, where the weigh-ins? The weigh-ins, he did hydration checks, made sure, like body fat percentage, like he was just really, really meticulous about this stuff. And we've seen this stuff, it happens in pretty much all sports, but some coaches are a little bit more particular about it, and it can really cause a little bit of psychological damage, and on top of the physical damage of being so specific about these details. But from when you heard about him getting fired to then the details about why he got fired and why it probably didn't work out and why some players weren't big fans of it, what did you think of this, from before and after of how DC United is handling this and how they're going to go forward?
I will answer that question. I have one question for you because I haven't heard that podcast. Was Julian Gressel speaking candidly in a negative way, or was he just talking about the things that
positively? He said that Hernan Losada changed his life and the way he thought about fitness, and he lost weight and he was feeling better. But he admitted that other players on the team didn't really buy in completely. They weren't really fans of it. They felt like it was too much, and it led to some injuries as well. So not everybody was on board.
Yeah, you told me not to curse too early. Can I curse now?
You can curse.
Yeah, I think it's bullshit. Like,
which part is bullshit?
That they fired him.
Okay.
Like, I think you knew what he was when he came in. He's a Bielsa disciple. Like the Leeds All or Nothing documentary shows this exact thing. He does, like, you can see Luke Ayling be like, oh my God, I know I'm overweight. Like this is going to be bad. Yeah. Like it is a thing that is terrifying, I think, for players, but it's terrifying because those are the players that didn't do what they were supposed to do. And I think with the length of the MLS offseason, there are things that coaches do to try to make sure their players are going to take it seriously and stay in shape. And especially a person who's coming from that Bielsa school, they want complete control and they want all of the details gone over, and they want the players to have that same level of focus and dedication. And I mean, I personally would hate that. I think I would be the worst type of player because I would just like, just let me be me. Just let me be me, a very mediocre footballer.
What do you mean I can't have 2 cheeseburgers in the locker room? What are you, a cop?
I know what I look like. Come on now. I'll take bacon off 1. That's my compromise. But so I think DC knew exactly who they were getting, and I had concerns about him coming in because it wasn't, to my memory, it wasn't like they were getting a guy who had been winning everything and they managed to snake him away. I think he had been fired by his former club for similar reasons or parted ways for similar reasons about his intensity. And so to me, that's appointing Bielsa and then firing him when it's this guy's kind of intense. It's yeah, no shit. That's why you buy him. That's why you get him.
You had intensity right on the top of the resume. Yeah. I'm not.
His resume is in all caps and 40-point font. What did you expect from this guy? And so and then DC, it's not like they're spending money. It's not like they're buying the DPs that he needs to be the team that he wants. They're buying players who are good. I like Brad Smith. I think he's a really good soccer player. I think he was really important, almost underrated for Seattle for a couple of seasons there. But is he going to be the difference maker? Is he going to be the player who makes that squad reach that next level at the same time as you're losing somebody like Kevin Paredes, who's such an important player for them and a potentially important player down the road? It seems like DC didn't really back him, didn't really help him, and then used excuses that I think they knew could resonate on social media of wow, what a lunatic. I can't believe he made these guys weigh in and how abusive and I agree with what Pablo said, that it can have Pablo Mar, that it can have effects and it can have psychological impact and it should be something we talk about. But we should talk about that across all sport because I think it's a thing that happens across all sport is body shaming and berating players when they don't have a good performance and attacking them on social media. I think that's a thing that exists in a lot of different realms and should be considered, but to use it as a way to say there was a lot going on that people didn't know about, that feels disingenuous at best in my mind.
Yeah, it did feel when you hear about these details, the front office and Losada, they probably didn't get along, and there were probably a lot of complaints, and it was difficult. An Ice Cold Brew, who's a DC United fan, said we needed a culture change. He was it, and we didn't have the guts to stick with it.